Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to vermontitude.com, reformer.com, brattleboro.tv, and locally on Comcast Channel 1078. We come to you from the studios at the Innovation Box on Flat Street. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are of concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. Joining Vermontitude today from the BDCC, Alex Beck, whose title is the Welcoming Communities Director. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Welcoming Community Director. What is that? This seems like a little bit to unpack there. Let me have it.
Yeah, absolutely. So quite a few years ago, there was a project from the Boston Federal Reserve Bank called the Working Communities Initiative. It's a challenge across the state, and communities all over Vermont chose one big idea that they thought could help transform their community and economy. The BDCC put together a team with folks like World Learning and the Planning Commission and our local transportation folks, and put together a proposal. And it was focused around immigration and creating a more welcoming community. And so this initiative really spun into this project we're working on right now that, while it's part of the Working Communities project statewide, we call it the Welcoming Communities because we think a welcoming community is a working community.
Okay, very good. Now, specifically, though, I mean, it seems like, well, you've been at the BDCC for a while. You sort of took this job over or created this title. Was this something that was created for you?
Yeah, so, I've been at the BDCC for a while doing workforce development.
Right.
And that's helping folks find jobs, education, and those kinds of opportunities. And so in doing the research, we also realized that in order to fill all the jobs that we have, we just need more people. And so part of our workforce development strategy at the BDCC became looking at immigration and the positive impacts that we know it has on our community and economy. And so it really really synced up with our long-term strategic goals to grow our economy and grow our population and workforce development. And so that's really where my old job of workforce development and my new job of supporting new Vermonters connected.
Okay. Largely, at least as of late, I don't know if this started right out. We're dealing a lot with the Afghan population that comes in. Now, I say it that way because people refer to them as refugees. Are they still refugees by the time they get here?
Yeah, so it's as a surprise to no one, the American immigration system is complicated,
and so really?
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't get to see my eye roll off camera. All right.
And so when Kabul fell and there's the evacuation of Afghanistan, a new, for lack of a better phrase, kind of immigrant was created, and it was called the Afghan parolee.
Oh,
it's a terrible name.
Awful. I was going to say name. I would much rather say refugee.
Absolutely.
I felt like I was saying a bad thing then, but
no.
Parolee is horrible.
Exactly. The language around immigration is always terrible. But these were folks who needed a safe place to be, and they were eligible to work upon arrival. And from a status perspective, the majority of them are similar to what we think of refugees, permanent residents of our country when they're here.
Okay. All right. So now a majority of these people that are coming over that you're helping integrate into our system, are they here to stay, or are they here just to kind of get it sorted out and then they'll move to other places, I guess, like any other American would?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, and that is what's the difference between refugee resettlement with capital letters, the ECDC, our partners, they are the ones who are bringing folks into the community from their home countries through the American Refugee Resettlement Program.
Okay.
And they provide services for those folks up until 90 days, sometimes longer. Our goal is to keep these folks here, is to create the kind of community that these new members say, I would rather stay here than move to family somewhere else in the country. And in fact, our long-term goal and hope is that there are families across the country who are resettled moving here because they hear, oh, my cousin found this weird place called Brattleboro. They stuck him in this place called Brattleboro. And even though it's not New York City, there's good jobs and there are friendly neighbors and there's a place where we can get food now at, that, represents the kind of culture that we come from. That's the long-term goal.
Right.
And so that's exactly what we're trying to do is that, these folks have freedom of movement when they resettle here. And if there's better opportunity, we know that immigrants will go find it.
Yeah, well, it's been good. I've had some opportunity to work with a few, and it's been they're just trying to. I was calling at the ski jump, and a bunch of them came to the ski jump and hung out by the announcer's tent, and one of them kept inquiring like if he could take a sled off there, and I was like, "You're going to work out fine here."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that. Brattleboro is a great example of the diversity of people who love Brattleboro.
Yeah.
We're quirky. You never expect your neighbor or whomever that you meet to how they get to Brattleboro.
Right.
And immigrants are no different. People are going to love this place because it is Brattleboro and we know it. And so it's heartwarming, but I think it shouldn't be a surprise anymore that an Afghan will look at that ski jump and think the exact same thing that any of us do. That you kind of got to be crazy to go off it, but you kind of want to when no one's looking.
You kind of let me see how this ends. An interesting thing that I learned from speaking to one of the refugees that came was that when they get on their end, before they've arrived here, they're told that they're going to Hartford, Connecticut. So they do all their research in Hartford, Connecticut, and then they wind up in this place, Brattleboro, Vermont. Have you found that that's been a difficult thing, or was that just kind of a one-off thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's layers. So yes, first of all, they look at what airport they're flying into, and it's always Bradley. And then there's also, the image of the United States that we project abroad too. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of folks think America is like New York City. And then when you drive into sleepy Brattleboro, it is quite a shock.
Yeah.
And, there are folks coming from rural and agricultural communities in their home countries too. So even though it's not the America they expected, a lot of folks, when they see the rolling hills, it may look like home, and that is true too.
Yeah. All right. You've got a little flow chart there, and at the top of it says things we've done.
Yeah.
Run through that for me, would you?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two major activities that we do. One is at the regional scale, and it's often bringing partners together. And so we've created what we call the New Vermonter Providers Network meeting, which is an opportunity for all of the providers, whether it is food stamps, TANF, Reach Up, health services, maternal health care, child care, financial literacy, any of these things that other providers in our community help support folks in, we get everyone in the room together once a month. And we say, what are the trends you're seeing? And so one example is we notice a lot of our new arrivals were expecting mothers. And so we said, let's focus this month on maternal health care and bring all of the resource providers in the room and put together a plan to reach this population. So that's creating space for new conversations to happen in support of the people, serving our New Vermonters. So that's, a big picture thing. Directly, we've supported 80% of the adults who've arrived in finding jobs within the first 90 days.
Nice.
And they're good jobs. I mean, the jobs that we know have been open for a long time. The average wage of our New Vermonters we're supporting is around $18.30 an hour. Okay. And again, that's within 90 days of being in the United States. And so that's with limited English, but a hard work ethic and really, they show up. And so we have folks really succeeding in the workplace.
All right, that's good. And I would assume that the red tape that you have to go through, they have to be like green carded to work, correct? And is that part of the process that you help with?
Yeah. So no, we do not help with any of that. But that is one of the distinctions in people's status that is, that we do need to understand. So our Afghan community members and other folks who come through the refugee resettlement system are eligible to work pretty much forever. And it's asylum seekers who we also support. We have the Community Asylum Seekers Project here in our community, and they're great. Those folks, their work authorization is different. And so when folks first arrive through asylum, they may need to wait for their work authorization, but usually once they get it once, it's renewed every 2 years. And so generally the legal side of that isn't something we worry about. It's actually educating our employers on the different kinds of documents that someone can provide their first day of work. Because they're used to seeing, a Vermont ID with like an American, an American resident, and educating employers and to say, okay, this I-9 is going to be something like you've never seen before, but they're eligible. And so making sure there's no miscommunications there is a part of something we do.
Well, and I know that, like one of the big things, one of the overarching things right now is finding people who are willing to go back into the workforce and do the jobs. And some reports that I've seen through some HR hirers and things like that are that this is really it's helping their business survive right now. So it is, we don't know what's going on right now, right? Post-COVID with the workforce. And I think it's going to take bigger brains than yours or mine to kind of unpack what's going here. But are you finding that employers are like, yeah, give me all you have?
100%. And I think that's something that it's often easy to assume that, the private sector may be more conservative leaning, especially manufacturing sectors, or, we have a lot of folks in shipping and logistics and in wood products. The employers and the coworkers have been remarkable, creating prayer space for folks who have, a different prayer needs and schedules, and, providing, carpooling, giving coworkers rides to the bus because the bus doesn't always serve folks on second shift, for instance. And so it is because of our need for labor and that, gap in labor that we've seen some really great stuff, and again, it's why wages are good. Folks aren't starting at minimum wage anywhere because no one will work for minimum wage because you can work for more. And so I think that's, for better or for worse, we have people earning good wages. We have really great employers. And I think what it proves is that being an inclusive workplace for everyone is just better. Because, we need to be welcoming to immigrants, but we need to be welcoming to folks with substance use disorder who may have been involved in the, justice system. For retired folks who want to re-enter the workforce. We need every person we can get who wants to work. And so I think that this is just really shown that inclusive, diverse, flexible, that's the modern 21st century workforce, right? If we want to keep up, that's what we got to do.
All right. So for folks who might be watching this, listening to this, and they want to get involved, they want to help, is there a way for them to do that? Because, folks like, there's a lot of people who love this and want this to work, but they want to make sure that, they can help and make it work. And, what's that, many hands make light work kind of thing. So is there something that folks can do to help?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, our partners at the Ethiopian Community Development Council, ECDC, they're the formal refugee resettlement organization here in Brattleboro. So around donations, volunteering, being part of a sponsor group. So, you can be a part of a team that kind of sponsors an entire family and you provide a bit of wraparound support. So reach out to the ECDC. They're on Facebook and Instagram, and I believe they have a website. And, selfishly, what I'll say is we always need more folks who are available to drive people to and from work. Because right now, and, working with the mover, they've been an incredible partner. We're, hopefully going to be launching some new innovative transportation programs in the coming year with them. But until then, folks, when they first arrive, they have jobs and they don't have driver's licenses yet. And so finding a way to get folks to or from work or to the grocery store, that's what, if you're willing to drive and you're able to reach out to ECDC and say, I'm willing to drive someone to work every day. It'll take you 15 minutes to get them from where they live to work. But if you're willing to do it at 10 o'clock at night, you're saving, someone a whole lot of hassle. Yeah. And so I think that's, again, from getting people to work perspective, that's what we need. But, Yeah, reach out and say hi to them when you see them on the street. Give them a smile. Let them know they're welcome. If they're your neighbors, invite them over to your holiday party or to the block party.
Yeah.
I think it's community is our greatest asset in Brattleboro, so that's what we can offer folks.
Okay, Alex, anything we're leaving out? Anything we didn't cover?
No, I mean I think I'll just say that it's one of the coolest and best things I've been able to be a part of since I've been here in Brattleboro, and to see the murals go up, to see our schools look a little different. It's been really great, and so I can't wait to see the rest of the impact these new community members will have on Brattleboro and the region.
Great. All right. We've been speaking with Alex Beck from the BDCC. His job title is Welcoming Communities Directors, which is an awesome title.
Thank you.
Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.